It's okay to be unbalanced for a while. It's okay. Don't be all this stuff people say, you gotta be balanced.
Don't like the trend in this circle, men's motivation circle. I don't like the hustle culture as is being brought out and taught today. I don't agree with it because I think it's out of balance.
To be the best in the world at what you do, you have to be unbalanced to find every bit of energy and strength that you have to pull it off. Then you get balanced once you become great.
I see myself in a very small, tiny way, infinitesimal way. I see myself as the anti-David Goggins.
It can f you up. It can ruin your life. You can be so obsessed, but I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be great.
I have guys come into the school and I'm like, I don't say anything, it's not my business, but I'm like, you're gonna die young.
Tightly wound?
Just tightly wound, and it's never enough. It's never enough. I'm like, when is it enough? There's a main thing, staying the main thing problem with that viewpoint on life. And I want to see men that, for whatever reason, whatever way brought in to influence, I want to see them find balance. I don't want to see them find money. I don't want to see them find six-pack. If that is part of the result of it, fine, okay? But I want them to find balance, and I want them to find that place inside where they're like, my main thing is my main thing, and it's enough.
The objective of life is to become balanced. That's what the definition of wealth truly is, which is abundance. Wealth is abundance. It's not money, it's abundance. It's having what you need at the right time. That's all you need. If you have more, if you have excess, it can become a burden.
Get someone that says, okay, well, Jocko said go out and, have party with the ladies.
Sure.
And then
help my workout.
Yeah, it'll help my workout. And then, maybe if I only work out 3 times a week and I spend most of my time partying, I'll get workouts level 11. No, you won't. So, yeah, man, make some exceptions to your discipline and go enjoy the company of some other people. Grow a little bit as a person, become a better human, compete better, train harder. That's it.
Agree.
You talk a lot about balance, the dangers of being out of balance, trying to find who's this message for particularly, and I think really trying to get people that are listening to feed it through the filter of, is this for me? Is this for someone else?
There are places where his message is needed, but his message is not needed for everybody.
And that point around just go harder, bro, can cause you to have a heart attack laid in bed next to your wife.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, that's something that I probably do need to heed. And on the other side, like, am I a useless blob of emotional nothingness?
Right.
Okay, well, maybe I need a bit more David Goggins in my life.
Right.
I think finding that balance and not having a one-size-fits-all answer.
Can we boil it down to a bouillabaisse and say, look, when you have the thought, don't trust the thought. I need to do this or I need to do that. What if we start asking ourselves why? Why do I need to say, you know what? I need to spend more time in the backyard with a cigar. Why do I need to do that? And if the answer is because I'm becoming overwhelmed, overtight, losing my balance, losing my focus on what really matters in life, I'm becoming hard to live with to those that I care the most about, to those who I am the most responsible for. Why do I need to run 300 miles with 2 broken legs? Because David Goggins said so? Why do I need to do that? What is the purpose? Not why for me, but why do I need to do that to make myself the man I need to be for those around me? The why is, this will make me a better person for those around me.
Number 1, take responsibility for what you're doing. Take ownership of your world. Take ownership of your life. There's number 1. Number 2, the second book, Dichotomy of Leadership. Be balanced. Be balanced. Don't be extreme. Extreme, look, do you have to sometimes get out there in the fringes a little bit? Occasionally. You probably had some business situations where you're like, all right, I got to let go half of my staff right now. That's an extreme move, but that's how we're going to start. Do you have to do that sometimes? Yes, you do. But don't let that be where you live. Live in the center, live in a stable area, and then finally discipline equals freedom. If you oscillate emotionally up and down drastically, it's going to be problematic. So finding a good, stable, centered way to be and look at the world and take everything that you see with a little bit of a grain of salt and don't get swayed too drastically in one direction or the other, you're going to be okay.
So much of life, I think, is avoiding pitfalls, not expediting successes, because the pitfalls can kick you out of the game permanently, or they can do things that they're so catastrophic they take much longer to come back from. And this is, in some ways, an excuse for being averse to risk.
Right.
But I think it's just being clever about risk and knowing where you can take risks that have limited downside, not unlimited downside.
And so we, as people, should be balanced. And I think what we need to be attuned to is it's much easier to be extreme. It's much easier to say, oh, no emotions, cool, and turn them off. That's easier than, or total emotion mayhem, that's easier. It's harder to find balance. It's harder to find balance in business. It's harder to find balance in life. It's hard to find balance. And what we have to do is we have to be attuned to the feedback that we're getting.
I think type A people have a type B problem, and type B people have a type A problem. Insecure overachievers need to learn how to chill out and relax, and lazy people need to learn how to work harder and be disciplined.
Your balance and my balance and his balance are different. And so I think a man has to find his own balance.
Watch, what do you say to the person whose potential is great, but they want to play video games and eat pizza?
If you were telling me, yeah, sometimes I get up, sometimes I don't, sometimes I work late, sometimes I don't, don't work out every day, sometimes I feel groggy. If you were telling me that kind of thing, I'd say, okay, pick a time and start waking up at that time every day. It doesn't have to be 4:40, it could be 8 o'clock, could be 7 o'clock, it doesn't matter. Try and go to bed around the same time and try and wake up around the same time, and that's gonna be a great foundation for everything that you're doing. And I would say when you wake up in the morning, do some kind of exercise, because I think that is very helpful in getting your day started correctly.
What I told his son was pretty much this right here. He asked me a question about he wants to be really good at tennis. But what happens is after I play tennis for a while, I want to go play video games.
I'm a 17-year-old. I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and I have ambitions of pursuing jiu-jitsu professionally and competing to the highest level possible. Of course, this requires discipline and commitment. So I train jiu-jitsu Monday through Saturday, and I weight train on Friday and Sunday. And when I have time off school, I train jiu-jitsu 3 times a day. However, due to my commitment to this and my refusal to prioritize the other things over this, I feel I'm missing out on the social opportunities of this part of my life. I miss parties and social events in order to train jiu-jitsu and weight train because I know that I should have the discipline to do so. However, I feel lonely and isolated because of it. Is this just weakness, or should I make the occasional exception for a social event?
You obviously don't want it bad enough. And I was trying to tell him, once you become obsessed with something, it's okay to be unbalanced for a while. If your family doesn't understand, why are you so daggone crazy? Because I'm trying to be the best I can to give you the best that I am. And it takes being obsessed to where people think you're crazy. People look at me and say, oh my God, you're a masochist, you're this and that. I had 21 stretch fractures going through Hell Week. 21 stretch fractures. You know what I did? I taped my ankles up. Roger that. I want to be a SEAL, so I did it. Those people who say it's okay, it's not okay. It isn't okay, man. And I get it. We love to feel wanted and loved. Trust me, that's all important. It is. But you have to have the truth from people. Hey, you're not working your butt off hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. We all think we're trying hard, but what are you gauging that off of?
I think young men need to know that, hey, it's okay for you to sit down and to read and have a cigar and to chill and to think. Because I guarantee if you're in the weight room, pumping out all these reps and running on the machine, and then you're going into the cubicle and you flip open a computer and you're not thinking, you're learning, you're taking in, but you're not meditating on stuff and you're not thinking. But that can be taken so far that young men are made to feel guilty for just sitting down and thinking and relaxing.
You have to build a person that can withstand the pressures of whatever they're going to be dealing with in life. And we don't do that. I'm not trying to send a message of run 200 miles, be the baddest motherfucker in the world, but be tough. You better have a part about you that's tough, a part about you that can break down situations and get better.
Are you wasting any time? Have you maximized the hours you can get out of a day? Or are you spending time doing other things that you shouldn't be doing? That being said, it sounds like you're getting after it pretty hard, which means you're probably pretty efficient. If you're not wasting a bunch of time and you're not doing a bunch of things that are non-productive and you're feeling lonely and isolated, then guess what? You're going too far. Broadly speaking, training should be enjoyable. Okay? This doesn't mean that you're going to love it every day, and I talk about that all the time. It doesn't mean every day you wake up and you're all, smile from one ear to the other ear because you're so happy you got to go do, squats and deadlifts. Like, no, that doesn't happen. Broadly, how does jiu-jitsu make you feel? It makes you feel good. You should enjoy it to some extent, right? And you should not be getting burnt out. And I think that's the most important thing. There is more to life than jiu-jitsu and physical fitness. There's more to doing well in life. If you can't like communicate with people effectively, that's a real problem in any environment. And if you're isolating yourself from other people and you're not learning how to interact with other human beings in a social environment, that's not good. But you also need to be smart. You need to be articulate. You need to be quick-witted. If you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu and you're a white belt in communicating with other human beings, that's not going to be a good situation for you.
Humans don't know how to communicate. Communication is our biggest weakness.
Communication and self-reflection can help you stay grounded and maintain balance during times of change.
I am uncomfortable with this concept of work-life balance because balance is achieved with two opposing forces. And why should work and life be in opposition? I believe in that you're able to build a life where work and personal life become, not only to say interchangeable, but smooth. And what I mean by that is they're not necessarily confined by hours in a day, but rather where I choose to give effort.
As a reminder, work-life balance is about creating harmony and satisfaction in both your professional and personal lives. In addition to adapting to life's changes, remember to prioritize, set boundaries, take care of yourself, and continue to invest in personal development, becoming smarter and more knowledgeable and more competent as the time passes.
One of the mistakes that I've made was treating things that are important to my mind, my body, my spirit, as something that I'm only supposed to do off hours or on weekends. But just like I can't decide when I have an idea, sometimes it's on Saturday and sometimes it's in the evening, I also can't decide when I need a break. Sometimes it's something I feel, not something I plan for.
A balanced man needs to be somewhere in the middle. He needs to be able to work, to do what needs to be done, to improve himself. And he also needs to sit around by the fire in the backyard and have a cigar and read some Kipling and just stay balanced. There needs to be balance. And I understand that there was a tendency in this country. We had a lot of young men that were not raised with dads. They weren't raised to work, and so that it's sitting on the couch playing the stupid Xbox, not growing up learning to work. So that pendulum went too far this way. So now you've got guys who, in order to counteract that, they swung the pendulum too far this way.
You want to be the baddest mother ever at what you do, you're going to be misunderstood by everybody because you're going to be so obsessed and so driven to get there. That's what it takes.
That's the truth.
It takes every second of your. If anybody says balance, yeah, balance is important for a lot of people. It is.
I get it. I get the massive commitment, and that is what it takes. Like if you want to compete at the highest level, I'm telling you, yes, you have to live, breathe, and eat conditioning. And that being said, if that's all you live, breathe, and eat, that's going to make you less apt to be a champion than if you make yourself a little bit more well-rounded in some of these other aspects. Keep training hard. Go out occasionally. Hang out with some people. Have a good time.
And that by no means get hammered every time you do it.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I need someone to teach me how to be disciplined and work harder, feels noble and upward aiming and charitable. I need someone to teach me how to switch off and relax, feels dopaminergic and addicted and transactional and opulent. Every underdog movie ever has a training montage of someone working their life out by working harder. None included a guy learning how to log out of Slack at 6 p.m. or finally enjoy a beach holiday. Just work harder, bro. advice reliably makes everyone more successful in the only way that they can be judged, outwardly. There are very few issues in life which can't be solved by just working harder, so everybody treats it like a panacea, not a purpose-built tool. And, on average, maybe more people do need to hear David Goggins shouting in their face to go harder, rather than Eckhart Tolle whispering in their ear that they are already enough. But for a certain, perhaps minority cohort of people, they actually need to hear the opposite message. We need a parasympathetic Goggins. Who's going to carry the cigars? Hashtag rest harder than me. Type B problems are just as tough as type A ones, but they require a much less sexy solution, peace, one that you can't achieve by just working harder.
My boss says, hey, Jocko, wait, you're leaving early again? Well, you know, it's wrestling season. My daughter's got a wrestling match, so I'm going to leave. Okay, I need to be attuned enough to say, yeah. If we're talking to our wife and she says, you're not going to be home for dinner again tonight for the 9th night in a row that you're going to stay late at work, okay, you need to be paying attention enough to say, oh yeah, guess what? I'm a little too focused on work right now. If I focus 100% on my job, I'm going to lose my family. If I focus 100% on my family, I'm going to lose my job. We as humans are supposed to be balanced.
People say, oh, you're sleeping on the couch. You know, what are you, lazy? Sleeping on the couch? Well, I don't know. Maybe they need rest. You know, you hear these, motivational gurus, grind, I'll sleep when I'm dead, that kind of thing. I'm not saying that, that's dumb or nothing like that. It produces a certain message that can be interpreted in a way that might not be the most beneficial.
Then you got to be balanced. There has to be discipline. We as human beings need discipline in our life, but there has to be love and grace and understanding. And so a lot of children who grow up with issues from being raised, those issues are because their parents are out of balance one way or another.
When people don't understand you anymore, you're in that spot of obsession and drive where people are like, what the f is wrong with this guy? I don't want to talk to you, man, because you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
He's taking the attitude of like, okay, I'm going to sleep when I'm dead, and I'm going to hang out with other human beings after I'm a world champion. Right. And again, do you need to be possessed to be a world champion? Yes, you do. But all I'm saying is part of the things that will make you be a better, well-rounded person, the more well-rounded you are, the better you're going to perform. Yeah. You're going to learn how to deal with anxiety. You're going to learn how to deal with people. You're going to learn how to look at someone else's situation, look in their eyes and be like, okay, this guy's stressed out, or this guy's panicking, or this guy, you learn those things from interacting with other people. Yeah. That's going to make you a better competitor. Yeah. You're going to learn more about yourself. That's going to make you a better competitor. You got to find a little bit of, it sounds like you're a little bit off balance, especially because you're feeling like the words that kind of keyed me off the most in this was, what was it? Lonely and isolated. Yeah. That's what kind of, if you said everything else here and then you were like, am I overtraining? I would have said, no, man, you're getting after it. Good job. But then when you say, look, I feel lonely and isolated, you don't want to feel lonely and isolated. If you're feeling lonely and isolated, your workout that day is like a 9. If you feel like, hey, I'm having a good life, I'm filled with energy, I like hanging out, I just, had a good time with this girl last night, and now I'm going to train. It's like, oh, okay, guess what that workout's 9.7. You get a better training because you had a good time.
Maybe a little more time in the gym doesn't answer the why, and a little more time in the backyard with my kids, that gives me a better answer to the why do I need to make this choice as opposed to that choice. So just chill. Just chill. Continue to have fun. Now by fun, I'm not recommending you go out, drink your brains out at the bar and do something stupid, but my goodness, go hunting, go fishing, get a mountain bike, go hiking, go to the gym, go hang out around a barbecue fire with friends and just act silly and act goofy and be your age. Be your age and just embrace the process.